Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. Sarah Westwood, and I'm here today with senior columnist Tim Carney. And Tim, this past week we had primary elections in Maryland, and on the Republican side, the candidate that emerged victorious was Dan Cox, sort of a Trump-endorsed candidate. Were Republicans excited about that outcome?
No, and down in the Attorney General race, you also had Michael Peroutka, who was the more Trump-supported candidate, winning over a more tough-on-crime candidate who was more moderate. And so the Democrats actually spent more than $1 million trying to make sure that the more Trump-aligned candidate won the Republican primary, because Trump is very unpopular there. There's an outgoing governor, Larry Hogan, who was very popular, served 2 terms, still incredibly popular. And so the hope was, what Hogan was hoping was that somebody more like him could be the nominee. Kelly Schultz was his pick. And now Hogan has come out and said that he won't support the Republican nominee, Dan Cox, who had tried to impeach Larry Hogan earlier. So it sure looks from the outside like Republicans are taking a potentially winnable state in these statewide races and giving them up in a very strong Republican year.
On the Democratic side, Tom Perez, the former chairman of the DNC, did not win that primary. A relatively unknown author, at least in the political sphere, Wes Moore, won that primary. What do you think that says about where Democrats are at right now?
Yeah, Wes Moore, brand new to politics, beats a couple of people very well known in the state for the Democratic nominee for governor. In the Attorney General race, both of the candidates, Anthony Brown, a congressman, as well as Katie O'Malley, who is not just the former First Lady, but has been a prosecutor, both of them were sort of insiders, but O'Malley was more of the insider, and she lost the primary too. So Democrats in Maryland are getting tired of their state establishment, it's one of the most entrenched state parties there is in the country, and they're starting to sort of pull it up by the roots. So that will be interesting to see. It's sort of a mini Tea Party, not with ideological angles, but more, we're tired of the old way of doing things in this state party.
It's not just in the Maryland Republican governor's race. In other Republican primaries, some arguably weak candidates have emerged. Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania might be one. There's concerns about Blake Masters in Arizona. That primary hasn't happened yet. But do you think that Democrats' position right now is so weak that it won't matter that Republicans had a weak candidate recruitment this cycle, or is it potentially, a really bad thing for them?
There are lots of caveats here. One is, we don't always know ahead of time who's going to be the stronger or weaker candidate. Everybody thought that Donald Trump in 2016 would be a weaker candidate. In retrospect, it could have been that somebody else, Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush, could have lost to Hillary Clinton. There's evidence for that. But then going into it, what we saw in the Tea Party wave of 2010 was even some of the really weak candidates, Republican nominees, won the general election, but picking the weaker nominee, say down in Delaware or in Nevada, where the Republicans picked a weaker candidate, they ended up losing seats that were otherwise winnable. So I think it will be a massive Republican year, but Republicans are at times choosing candidates who I believe, and most experts believe, are weaker. This will dampen the Republican gains.
Tim, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more writing from Tim and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.